about to study organization. Because there is a whole field of academic studies about organization. Theory of organization, sociology of organization, organizational studies. There's a lot of different kind of academic knowledge and also applied knowledge about organization. So, the first issue, the first question that I want to ask you is why we should organize instead of doing things on our own? Because if you think about an organization, it's an enterprise to do something in collaboration with some other actors. Actors that could be both human, other persons, but also technology, infrastructures, and all of the things that you interact with when you work on something. So, if you think in the past, before the first industrial revolution, we can think that there were a kind of artisanal work where artisans built the thing by their own. So if they want to build something, they need to do all the work by themselves. With the, to summarize really very simplified way, we can say that after the Industrial Revolution is where the organization starts to become more complex and start to also be more structured in terms of roles, in terms of have a clear bureaucratic forms, etc. So, can you think about some kind of type of organization that you interact with every day? The university. Yes, that's one. Other kinds. So the university is not a business organization, but still is an organization. Public transport. Yes. Okay. Supermarkets, but supermarkets.
It has an organization.
Okay, but do you think that each supermarket has the same organization?
No, actually. If they're chained, so each set of them would have the same organization.
Okay. Other idea? And for example, the supermarket, which purpose they serve for?
Selling things to us.
Selling things.
It's kind of business because they will have.
So each organization should have a kind of a purpose.
Yeah.
So.
Make money.
Do you think that make money is the purpose of every organization, every business?
No.
There are no profit organizations, so it's not making money.
They are so called.
And for the profit profit organization, I think that you think that money is the purpose of the.
There are research organizations. They do not want to increase some.
Yeah, but I mean, for a profit organization, for a for-profit organization, company.
It is one of the main goals.
One of the long term.
There isn't an organization with just a goal or a purpose.
Really?
Usually there are more than one of them.
So we decide to start a company, and we decide that our purpose is to make money.
Okay.
So we take a printer and we print money. What do you know?
If you are good enough, you can.
No, because in that way that's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
When you think to make money, it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
Shouldn't it fall into the necessity entrepreneur?
that kind of entrepreneur just needs to make money, so he has to.
Yeah, in that sense, could be, but in that case, it's personal. It's a personal case. And entrepreneur versus the organizational purpose or goal. So there are two different aspects. That's inside, within an organization, there could be more than one entrepreneur, for example. So there could, which have more than different goals, but still the organization has one goal, which is, yes, at the end, the sustainability of the organization, so also make money, but also to have a purpose to serve for. And this purpose is also related to the last question on this slide. So how do they relate to do innovation? So our organization, because last week we saw that there has been a shift from the closed organization paradigm to the open, also in terms of organizations. Because as we will see, there are different kind of organization type, ideal types of organization that serve for open or closed innovation. Because not a kind of a structure that you decide for your organization is not neutral for what you want to do. So, if we take the dictionary, this is the definition of organization. An organized body of people with a particular purpose, especially a business, society, association, etc., a research organization. So more or less what have you told before. The action of organizing something, so organizing is also an action that you can do, and that's what the organization do. But we are interested here in also the business part of the organization. So what is a business? And there are no better than me.
So we start talking on a particular type of organization. So as you were saying before, any organization can be identified as that. We try to look a bit more on a company, so or an enterprise, which is one of specific type of organization. Before we go, you will see some definitions today. As you have seen, there are some class where there is a lot of intervention. Today is more a frontal class in the sense that we will discuss among you, but this will be some material that you will use more than other presentation that we have done, for example, in the previous presentation, because it's a bit more theoretical, let's say. So I hope this is in line also with your expectations. So how many of you, I would like to have a question on this, did follow a course during maybe bachelor or during the master which is somehow related to economics, like institution of economics or basic of management? Or okay, you please raise your hands high. Okay, not too many, fine. So I will try to make it quite simple. In fact, it is simple from the definition, but I think this is good for you to have a basis of what a company is, and in case you will start your own or you will work for a company, you can understand how from the internal part of the organization it works, from a company it works. This is, I think, quite relevant, and is, I think, an add-on that you, in case you will be a project manager or whatever type of worker in a company, is good to have such kind of insight. So this is taken, in fact, the definition is taken from Wikipedia. I took it last year, but maybe if you take this year, it could be changed. So the quoting is because this is the definition from last year. A business, I read it because I don't know it by my memory. A business, also known as an enterprise, a company, or a firm. Firm is another term which is used for a company. Is an organizational entity involved in the provision of goods and services to consumers. Businesses are prevalent in capitalist economies, where most of them are privately owned and provide goods and services to customers in exchange for other goods, services, or money. So there is here the aspect is the exchange of something. Businesses may be also social non-profit enterprises, for example, those who are in profit, as we said. It came the example, or state-owned public enterprises. One example here in Trentino is called Trentino Sviluppo, which is a public agency and is owned from the province of Trento. It is the agency who tried to push the economy at local level in the province. Even some hospitals, for example, are state-owned public companies. Here in Italy especially. Targeted for specific social and or economic objective. A business owned by multiple individuals may be formed as an incorporated company. So when you put together several companies, they become a corporation. We will see this in another definition. Countries have different laws on this. So in case you open a company in Italy, it's different than in case you open a company in Pakistan or in England or in US or in Brazil. Every country has its own rules on managing companies. This is quite relevant. And so it may describe different rights to the business entities, so those who pertain to the company. Business can refer to a particular organization, an entire market sector, music business. Business, this is more in general terms, or for example, agribusiness. So the business applied to agriculture and food economies, environments, domains. The goal, this is also in blue, you see some of the most important part of the definition. The goal is for sales to be more than the expenditure resulting in a profit or gain or surplus. So we will see also this later. The goal for a company is at the end of the year to have a positive balance sheet. If you don't have a positive balance sheet, you should adjust your business. Okay. Other definition. Well, this is the last taken from public sources. Let's say this is the definition of a company. You will see a lot of similarities to the previous definition. There are some other aspects that emerge. Again, from Wikipedia last year, but this is not relevant. If you look at Wikipedia, that could be the same or a slightly modified one, but the concept remains the same. A company is a legal entity. A legal entity. It is recognized as it is legal. Made up of an association of persons, be they natural or legal. So a company can be made from natural person. If all of us open up a company, we are all employees or managers or whatever in the company, and together we represent a legal entity, which is our organization, the organization that we constitute, or a mixture of both. So our organization, maybe tomorrow we make a special type of application which looks very interesting, for example on agri-food, which looks very interesting for Kraft. Kraft come to us and they say, I want to buy your shares. And then they become a legal entity which together as people, become owner of the company itself. So there can be an aggregation of physical person and legal person that own a company. This is complicated, or a mixture of both for carrying on a commercial or industrial enterprise. Company members share a common purpose. The company has a mission or a vision. Usually you can use several terms for a company, which is the objective at which it aims. And they have this vision has to be united in order to focus the talents and organize the collectively available skills within the company, skill or resources, to achieve specific declared goals. Usually this is in the statuto in Italiano of the company. So the company clearly say what are the objectives of that company. Well, you have several types of companies. There is also companies, for example, a group of soldiers is called a company. This is regarding the army. This is not a company intended as a business company. The business entities are here. There are financial entities and banks, which are the same like this. Voluntary association. There can be also association that constitute themselves as a company. But this is usually no profit. For example, company of Alpini, whatever type of association. A company or an association of persons can be created at law as legal person so that the company itself can accept limited liability. The aspect of the creation of a legal entity is important because a company is responsible only on the action it does. So the constitution of the company is important because within the statute and the state law, the company is responsible till up to its mission to what it does. You cannot ask to the company to be responsible of things which are done from other legal entities. It's like that there is a boundary. That's why the importance of the legal aspect of constituted company. This limited liability is for civil responsibility and especially for taxations. Taxation is, in fact, taxation is the most relevant aspect, let's say, in capitalist world of a company, in the sense that if you are good enough to earn more than what you spend to produce a service or a product, these become income, and the income has to be taxated from. They have to receive tax from the state. That's why even each state has different laws on companies. The birth certificate is when you constitute the company. When you create a company, you go to usually offices in Italy. They are called Camere di Commercio. You give them the statuto, the statute, so it is a sort of document where you state what is the mission of the company that you want to create. This is very relevant, for example, for a startup. Each startup has to create a statute where they say inside the statute what they are willing to do. Or publish policy. So in case, for example, of an hospital or of a no-profit organization, within this statuto they have to say what is their policy, how they are managed. For example, you tell that there is a board of directors or there is a unique administrator. These are two different types of governance for a company. Because this tells that the responsibility of the company, as said, there is a legal responsibility, a limited liability and legal responsibility. If you have a board of directors, the responsibility of the company is in charge of the board of directors and the shareholders, those who owns the company. In case of a company with a unique administrator, the administrator is responsible for the running of the company. So in fact, if the company misbehaves, the responsibility is to the unique administrator better than board of directors. As company are legal person, this we already said, they also may associate or register themselves as companies often known as a corporate group. An example which we can use, I think you all know, is Alphabet. Alphabet is the owner of all Google Group. In fact, Alphabet was Google, now is Alphabet. And within Alphabet, Alphabet is shareholder of Uber, of Google itself, and all the companies that belongs to Google Group. So that is called a corporate group. Alphabet is the corporate group. Google itself is a company. Well, maybe the same Google itself is owned, is participate as shareholder. Maybe they have bank, venture capital. So the same Google, in fact, is somehow related to other companies. So this is important to test that the legal person, there is a change from a physical person, which is me, you, all of you, is a physical person, to a legal person, which is a person recognized from the state where you create that entity. So when you work in a company, you are legally binded to the company. I think that I find a definition which is let's say shorter but more easy to remember. A business that by company or firm is a legal, economic, and social entity in a stable form, in a recognized form. You know, if you now go out and you put out a product, but you didn't create a company for, in fact, you cannot sell the product. This is maybe if you are a physical person, you can make an app and sell it, but that app goes to your to your account or bill account that you present to the state, 740 or il certificato unico. So you present in your income state, but if you present in the income state, you pay a lot of taxes. If you create a company and make this product be sold from the company, you save a lot of taxes, because usually the taxation on the companies is lower than the taxation of physical person. Okay. So stable form of human organization uses the collectively available skills and resources for realizing goods and services, and providing them to consumers in exchange to other goods, services, or money. So the scheme is that all the company's skill and resources, they implement activities and they realize goods or services, any type of good, any kind of service. So physical products better than for services. They are provided to consumers, so the customers. The customers use these services or products in exchange for paying, usually is the money, the major way of exchanging products that are remunerating, this money are remunerating the company itself, and it close the loop. Well, we go to the value chain. So in basics, you have an input, which is all the material or the skill or the resources or the minds or the people that are needed to make something. Within the company, all these minds together and all this input material are assembled. They create an output which goes into the market. So basically, a business is focused on creating economic value. If you are not able to create an economic value, I would wonder, is it better for your company to go on or resign? There are companies who are very successful. At a certain point, their product is overcome from someone else, or they innovate. If they are not able to innovate and stand to the, let's say, most advanced product in the same market, better for them to close. Otherwise, they will not sell. They will have a recurring cost of the company, but they won't be able to sell them to the market. So a business is a system which employs available resources, get people to transform input into output. So this is already said a few times. The features. A mission and objective. Well, the legal person we said. A mission and objective. Okay, this is a nuance that maybe is interesting to explain. The company is an economic system. It has mission and objective that may not necessarily coincide with those of single shareholders. This is to say that as a company is a legal person and it is participated maybe from physical person. Berlusconi is a large shareholder of Fininvest. So it has a lot of shares of Fininvest. Morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
New student.
She just arrived today.
Okay.
So that's
Welcome.
why I introduced.
Your name?
Mariam Tariq.
Mariam.
Tariq.
Mariam Tariq is with us.
Ciao.
Prego. So, for example, yeah, Berlusconi, or let's say that what is the Berlusconi's company. Usually, all families which has big corporations, they have not themselves the shares. They create a company, which is called the Golden Company, whatever, where they are direct shareholders, and these shareholders, this company is then shareholder of the whole corporation. So it's not maybe Berlusconi himself who has the share of Fininvest, but it has a company. This happens also, for example, for Fiat Chrysler Group. They have a company which has the control of other companies. So in this case, they are able to save money of taxation. So it happens that if you can be a shareholder of a company and you are a bank, you are a shareholder of another bank, so in fact you should be competitor. But it's good for you that the other company makes money and pays you dividends, so-called dividends. So, or you as a shareholder, maybe you would like that this company goes into a specific market because you are maybe for India. So you would like this company would sell the product even in India. But the market of the company is in Northern America, and the cost to go to India maybe is too expensive. So this is to say that in a company, the decision is taken from the whole shareholders. Despite maybe one of the shareholders would say, oh, but I would like the company to do this. No, it's the majority of the shareholders who decide what the company is doing. If you are a unique shareholder, so if the startup is 100% yours, you are the unique decision maker for that startup. Structure, there are stable relations. The type of structure can be more or less formalized. Andrea will come back on this in a few minutes. So the structure of the company may change, the structure of the organization may change, depending on what approach it has. And it is also evolving in the digital era. It may evolve. It may evolve with incremental adjustments. Maybe you see that you are not able to sell enough, so you improve your company and you increase the number of people in the commercial office, so they are able to sell more. This is an adjustment in order to be able to stay at the forefront of the market. Or with discontinuities. If your company is out of business because you are selling bikes, I don't know, and now there are all electric bikes, then you restructure the company in order to be able to follow this market update. Function, there are a set of activities and tasks. We go in more into details. Usually this is the set of activities and tasks with similar characteristics that aim of making the products or services. In general, you tend to find common path so that your company, if it does this work in a routine way, you're able to save money. Okay, I try to. Why you should try to set functions with similar characteristics within the company? Why do you think it's important in a company to have functions which are recursive?
Maybe because it costs less.
Where?
Oh, I mean, because it costs less.
Why it costs less?
It's a pattern. I mean, you just you did it, and so you just have to do it again. But
Okay, good. B.
yeah, actually, the point is that it's more time spending on this kind of stuff that for the first time.
Okay, perfect. You got the point. So if you are able to do something standard, let's call it standard, the production of 100 of these chips. You have it designed, it took a lot of time to design the chair. You see that the market is willing to have the chair. With the same design and the same machine that produced the design, you are able to sell 1 or 1,000 of them. The difference is on the material that you need to build the chair. But once you have done, most of the effort is done in order to design the chair and make the first prototype. And then maybe make the machine who does automatically the chair. But once you have done all of them, the more chairs you do, so the more standardized work you do, the more is the profit for your company. Clear? Okay.
Question?
So 2 questions. So I'll start here.
The videos,
In the? Okay, I didn't see the videos, but
teacher tell us that if you just stuck on the same experience, we don't innovate.
yes.
So how this
Okay.
We will see the different structure of the company. Inside a company, there is normally an R&D department. which is separate from the operations. So while the chair is built by the operations, so they build 1 million share with cost that is nearly zero, basically at the end, looking at the infinite, basically. R&D is supposed to explore and find a better way to do the chair, find a new design. So there are within the companies space for exploration.
But it's in the same mission, on the same mission.
Yes.
We have also seen some people that has radically changed their markets from offer different services that weren't very related to each other.
That's a possibility, and this go within the open innovation idea that we saw last week. The difference with closed innovation, where there is a R&D pool, while from the other side there is a more, let's say, complex and interrelation between market push and R&D, and also coming of new idea completely out of the box. Because when you innovate, you could also bring something completely new within a company. But you need to have the space to do it. You have to have the right structure to do it. Because if you go to a company which is really vertical and with a strict functional structure, where you just don't have the freedom to do something that is outside of your task, it's hard to innovate. While as we saw when we saw last week about open innovation, big companies today in tech, kind of Google and all the big companies, make space and time free for the employees to innovate, to work on their own project that they can present to the company and say, well, I have a good idea, why don't you listen to my idea and maybe we can start a project. So if the idea is good, they could try first with a small team and to build a project and then to scale it up, and maybe the company will acquire the idea, or they can do a startup outside, make a partnership. This is kind of open innovation instead of doing everything inside the companies, kind of what was the beginning of the 20th century with the car makers, where you have chain workers doing repeatedly the same task every day and build a car. That's it. So this is the you need to have that's true. That's when you think about operation and the building and to sell it, you want to reduce the cost. You want to have economy of scale. So you'll be able to scale your production and scale your market in order to have less cost and more income. Okay. So for you, building one chair, it costs 100. Building 1 million chair, it costs basically zero at the end. So, and you can earn money. While if you just build and sell one share, you need to sell it for 1 million, for example, to return the cost that you spent. So there are two different, let's say, functions in this case that are inside the company. Both the operation and the R&D.
If we stick to the example of the university chair, how would you think about improving the chair itself? Do you see ways? I mean, when you have designed that, maybe the first was full wood. Okay, how would you imagine to improve that? Try to figure out.
And try to improve the material.
Okay, you can work on the material.
And second, to improve the design.
Okay, design.
And then to try to do a study of sector to gain as much information to design a better seat, a better chair for students, and then I try to standardize it and be compliant with the regulations.
Okay. Other ideas on how to improve the value of the chair? Let's say that there is a Chinese that is able to do the same and it costs 1/5 of the price you are able to do. Other ways to increase the profit of the company,
Make them more comfortable.
make them more comfortable, so it's in line with the design. But other,
You can also advertise and create your kind of chair.
okay, branding,
It's like
branding the chair.
Yeah.
If you know companies like Artec or Artemide, or even Pirelli and Yokohama and Bridgestone, they work on brand. Michelin.
It could be recycling, like I buy your chair, your old chair that you buy just
Okay.
bought me just last year, and I will give you a new one.
Okay, I think this is some sort of also marketing type of is circular economy, but is also a good hint for marketing. Other,
Can we reduce the cost of its production? Because you said
yes.
till now we were talking about improvement for the person who buys, but we can also decrease the cost.
Yes. Okay. Perfect.
So process improvement.
Kind
Process.
of. Yeah.
So, please,
Free trials?
free trials,
Yeah.
sort of marketing also.
Yeah.
Okay, related to marketing, good. Okay, in general, I think this is quite enough. In any case, when you have such product, where you have the chair, the wooden chair done as a first prototype within the company, what is relevant is that you can still improve, so increase the brand awareness, increase the material you use, increase even the tools, the fabric, the metal, where you fix so you have, or you change the machine that makes that chair. The important is that it is something that you know how to make it, you can improve it, so the part of innovation still keeps doing, but it's different from having it done last 10 years as a selling product and starting from scratch and put the wheel going on such a product. So just to be able to differentiate on how to innovate better than how to change the product. So this is, I think, quite relevant for you. If you have an expertise on wood, you already start from a good point. There is people who are not expert on wood, so, and maybe with this, no, because the material is quite standard. But maybe in 10 years you can think about a completely different type of material to use instead of the wood. Maybe more comfortable, whatever. On the automotive sector, there are a lot of studies on this, on how to improve the internal part of the car so that people feel better inside the car. Okay. There was one question there.
It's not a question actually, but I would like to. Is there any kind of relation between the mission and the functions?
Yes. Depending on what is your mission, usually you have to create a special function. If you are a consultancy company, Accenture, McKinsey, you have functions which are different from what you would have in an automotive or heavy industry type of. Both the structure and the function may change. The function, if you intend the management part of the company, the management is inside the consulting company, and the iron producer. But if you look inside what is done from employees inside the consultancy company and inside the iron making company, they are quite different. Also the type of skill that you need within such companies. Okay.
Okay. Our R&D is a part of functions or is a part of structures?
Is inside the function. The structure tells you how the company is organized. We go on with the presentation. Show you
a function inside a structure. So you have.
We will go to structures in a few minutes.
Basically, you have the function, and then you find a place for the function inside your structure.
On this, there is an help that comes from the traditional economical studies. Michael Porter, value chain. I think all of you know the word value chain, catena del valore. In fact, the value chain disassemble a company into the major strategic activities, which are also called business units. Each business unit has a set of activities fulfilled to design, produce, sell, deliver, and support the use of goods. This is more a traditional type of Porter made this say, theoretical work in the 70s, 80s. So they were more traditional type of companies. I think with Andrea, we will look at the evolution of these, on the digital era and on the innovation, continuous innovation era as it is now. Value chain is a representation of such activities, so you will see soon. It aims at understanding the cost driver, revenue sources, and potential differentiation. Differentiation also within a company. Maybe the same company, two different companies can do the same product, and so maybe they have different type of cost that they have to incur in, but the type of representation of a company can be done the same. And then each of the activity, so each of the business unit will have its own performance to be evaluated. We will see it soon. A company obtains a value added if it implements the strategic activities in a more economic or efficient way than competitors. Okay, we go to the next, so to make it this clear. You see here the representation. Can you see? Okay, not that much. Okay. Well, primary activities are here. Primary activities. I will tell them so that it's easier for you to read, because in fact it's not really focused. Inbound logistic, just to read, but you don't need to write because they will be in the slide. Just operations, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, and service, which is after sell, customer service. These are the primary. The primary are directly engaged in the creation of the product or service. They are called in such a way because they give an input to the product or service itself. So they put their hands or on the material which comes inside the factory, or by taking this material and fixing it till it become a Fiat Punto, or by taking the Fiat Punto and delivering it to the final shop or to the final customer. Then there will be someone at the phone who answer, my Fiat Punto has big problems, hopefully not my mother, have big problems, and that's the customer service. And then there is the support activities. So, firm infrastructure, human resources, HR, human resources management, technology development or R&D, and procurement. You need 2 tons of glasses of glass because the Fiat Punto need to have the panel in front, otherwise you take a lot of wear. So you need to procure, so to buy the input that we will use to fix and to build the Fiat Punto. That's procurement. Supporting primary activities. They provide technologies, human resources, input. Just as an explanation, please, back or this.
What does mean the margin in the?
Yeah, the margin is that usually this is done to. This has been represented like this because all the activities that are done in the inbound activities. So the people who works here and what you need as tools to work here. Maybe here with the inbound logistic, you need a software that is used to manage the magazzino, warehouse. You need to have the management of the warehouse, so to know where rear view mirror is. So you will buy this software that tells you where in the warehouse the rear view mirror is. So that's the cost. So each of these activities, each of these functions, let's go as cost. So there are cost here, cost here. So you are able to somehow divide among the companies the different costs that you have in each of the office or business unit. And then if you sum all of them, you get the cost of your product for a single unit. You are able to understand the cost of a single unit. The margin is what you set as the income for the company, so that the single unit is profitable to you. If at the end of the day it comes out that all of this system is more expensive than what you have earned at the end of the same day, if you are able to idealize a complete business cycle in one day, let's say, then there is something not working, because the margin is not positive, but it becomes negative. Okay? So this is a way of representing a company in such a way that you are more capable of understanding the cost of each of them. For example, usually what happens, marketing and sales, very expensive, because you need advertisement, whatever. You need to tune the marketing and sales so that it doesn't explode too much, and maybe you sell a lot, but you have spent so much in marketing and sales that it's difficult to recover. So you get some target on the cost inside the company.
Thank you.
Welcome. So primary activities is an explanation. I think that on this we don't need to read. Inbound logistics, what comes in. Operation is working on such input that comes, such material that is in the warehouse. Outbound is the process of selling the product away to the shop, for example. Marketing and sales, I think we all know. Service or after sales is the activities to keep the customer engaged. So on this, I don't think that we need to go one by one. Same on support activities. So there is the infrastructure. Usually the infrastructure, important to say, there is the activities as account is usually less known, but the accounting, legal, finance, control, public relation, quality assurance is done in the infrastructure, but also the general strategic management. So despite, in fact, the company is operating, in fact, is managed from a CEO or a unique administrator or whatever is there. That function is inside the infrastructure, is considered inside the infrastructure. This is why, because especially in a large company, usually if you are able to make your company big enough, maybe at the beginning, if you create a startup, at the beginning you are the software geek who stays the whole day there to develop the first platform, if you like. I think all of you like to do that, or most of you like to do that. At a certain point, you create the startup, you start selling, your company grows in value, it starts selling products, selling services. Then you start hire people. These guys comes in, or you yourself comes in here, and you start hiring people or other geek that works instead of you. At a certain point, you are no more working on the product itself or the service itself because you are the CEO. So you are that who decide what the other are doing. Okay, so that's why you are no more in the production. You come in the management. As a manager, usually you don't make the physical work yourself. You don't go down to the factory to screw anything on a Fiat Punto. You are somewhere else to design the strategy of Fiat Group, Fiat Chrysler. Okay. Human resources is hiring people. Technological development is R&D, very relevant and increasing in importance. Procurement is acquisition of good services. For example, procurement is even the guys who comes here in the evening and they need to clean up the whole university. You use procurement because at the end of the day, the university has to be clean. So you purchase the service of cleaning the whole university. That's procurement. I leave the floor to Andrea.
I think we can do 10 minutes break.
Okay.
And
then we go to this.
and when we go to organizational structures.
What was the question before?
Yeah.
So we.
Last week we saw the shift from a closed innovation paradigm to an open innovation paradigm. This reflects also on the way you want to structure your organization, your company. Because from one side, you have the closed innovation company, when you try to internalize and to control everything, and you want to make it's what it's called. So there are advantages. So you are not dependent on other companies or other organizations. So the procurement layer in the value chain is smaller. But there are disadvantages, as we saw last week. There is a lack of flexibility because it's hard to change once you have a very structured and thick organization. If you think about the Porter value chain that Andrea showed just some minutes before, in that case, you will have, let's say, a more smaller procurement, and all the others more important. So you try to internalize all the activities. So also the cleaning function will be covered inside the company. In this kind of organization, you have clear boundaries where the knowledge of your organization stay. So you want your people to stay inside the organization, to do not spread the knowledge that they have, to keep it close, because it is important for your organization to have that kind of knowledge. And you also want to acquire new people from outside to make it bigger. At the opposite, let's say there is the idea of open innovation, when the company focus more only on the core of the idea, and the other stuff are demanded to other partners. So you want to buy. So there is this way of seeing it. So make or buy. You want to buy, so you want to have partnership with other companies. You want to acquire services and other goods that you need, and you don't want to produce it by yourself. Because this opens space and resources to focus on your core business. You are more flexible, but also you risk instability. So this is a trade-off that you have when you think about the way you want to deliver your product or service, the way you want to product it, to innovate it, to do new stuff, or also to do better the way you already do. If you go from one extreme to the other, we can see that this is the way we can think about a real closed organization, a closed innovation organizational type, kind of a pyramid. There is the top management, a middle management, and the operations. So it's classic vertical and bureaucratic organization. So if we have an organigram, for example, we have the president, and you have other structure which has functions. and within each structure you have sub, and you try to simplify it. So from the idea, the abstract idea that we want to produce a software, for example, if you take it a software house. So the president will, the top management will focus on strategy, will focus on vision, will focus on all the, let's say, theoretical also, and all the managerial stuff to let all the other things work. Then you divide this kind of the labor division. So you divide the thing that you want to, that you need to do to arrive at the software, and you try to simplify it until the end. So at the end there will be the guy who will code this line of code. So you try to reduce the uncertainty that we will see also next week better. You will try to reduce the uncertainty that is outside of the company, so the world outside, that you don't know if the software will work or not. You don't know at the beginning which kind of success your product will have. So you need to understand how to do it. You need to create a sense of the environment that surrounds your company, your organization. And you try to do this by dividing the work into subtasks, into sub-functions, till to arrive to the simple, basic line of code. So in an idealistic way, you want to arrive at the end where you have Andrea will write this line of code. And then you can go up to the tree and see the whole figure.
This means I'm not the president.
Yeah. So, as I said, it's an aggregation of tasks dealing with similar technical issues. So, the functions are try to group together a similar thing. Is managed top down, so there is you can see that there is a flow, a network flow that you can see also in the figure of the pyramid of how the information flow inside the organization, so from the top to the bottom. It's R&D push. So you want to create something and push into the market. Because it's top down, the decision making is made by few people at the top level. There is a high level of control because you can be really in control of everything on every person. You can say to the person you need to do this task, and this task, but you are not flexible. So if you need to change something, is really difficult to face changing in the environment around you and adapt to that. So in the case that Andrea told before, if you need to change your product because there are more competition, or there are new markets that stole your market, then it's hard to do it because you need to do a really big reorganization to do that. So, moving, I want to tell something also about this. The organigram, I don't know, maybe you have saw other organigram of other company. Normally have more or less these forms here. And the organigram is a scheme where there are the structure of the organization. So the division, the group, the project, etc., are associated to the person, to the management. So, and it shows who is in charge, basically. It shows who is in charge, it shows where the power is within the company. And where the decision should be taken, because you can see that it's not always that a company works like the organigram, but it's another thing. So ideally, these three are at the same level, but it could be that the person in charge of the three functions feel that they have more power than the other two. So that, for example, the software development manager, it feels that is more powerful than the documentation management, because think that the software development is more important inside the company, and so he want more power. How to show it? It happened in companies that even if are at the same level, this graph, this scheme, could be represented with this, with the software development box more close to the president. And I have example of companies doing that, also big companies where this happened. And this is to show that you can choose whatever the structure that you want, also the other that we will see later, but still at the end there will be people inside it. People with have different goals, conflicting goals also inside the organization that you need to organize, that you need to deal with, that you need to find a solution. And this solution is not always rational. Actually, normally it is not. They don't act rationally. So, I mean, in the rational way that you can think, you take decision. Going more close to the open innovation, we can add some flexibility doing this with a divisional organization. So pass from a vertical to a more kind of horizontal, more horizontal organization, where you have a division by product, for example. So for each product, you have a manager, and within each product, you have different functions. Research, R&D, manufacturing, financing, marketing, customer service, which all the functions are duplicated in every product. So every product will have a R&D manager, a marketing structure, etc. Duplicating it. And having and be autonomous within the other product. So if this product fails, you just can close it without having problem on the others. It's more horizontal. It's not like Google is, but still the idea is that you can cut one product without having problem on the other. But what do you think there are the problem with this structure?
Overhead. You have multiple marketing.
People. At the end, okay.
Not only marketing, you have many people in the same range of value, so there might be conflicts.
That can be. There can be, so say, conflict in the sense which is the most important product,
exactly,
or
yeah.
which is the. Yeah. That's for sure.
And try to actually overrule the other.
Yeah. Yes.
But this is not an organization for equal type of product. In the sense, I mean, each of the people that work on different divisions work on their product.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, they can't say that one is better than the other because they both are the part on the same organization.
If you have a structure like this, for example, in Fiat, and you work on Cinquecento and some other guys work on Punto autonomously, it's not like that. But let's think about let's say it's like that. You can think that Cinquecento is more valuable because it sells more, so you need to be more rewarded by the company, and you are more powerful at the end inside the company. Because if your product fail, the company will be more in trouble if another product fail.
But from my point of view, this doesn't work with a lot of a very huge company.
You say that a huge company doesn't work like that. This is true. I mean, now mostly, I will show later. But still, if we think about this, it's more market pool because you can add more products. You can add more products if the market wants a different kind of product. Is still top down because still the decision came from the up part of the scheme. It's more flexible, but still is heavily redundant because you have multiple people working on the same thing in different under the different products. So to have a more let's say efficient organization, what they did is that they invented the matrix organization. So still having the product line, so you have still the products, but you have some kind of other centralized structure. So under the president, there is, for example, a vice president in charge of product design, a vice president in charge of manufacturing, a vice president in charge of finance. And under this line, there are people that works for product A and for product design of product A, and etc. So there is kind of matrix where there are products and general functions, which make it also more flexible, but make it more complicated to manage if you think about it. I have to work also there, because if you work here, you need to answer both to a manager here and a manager here. So you have which they can be in conflict also.
Most of the time they are.
Most of the time, actually, yes, because they have different goals, basically. Because the manager in charge of the products want the product to be better. The manager in charge of the general function, basically, most of the time want to cut the cost or have more people and have more people doing the same work. Maybe ask you to work on more products also. So, but it's way more flexible. you have shared resources over the company, so it's not kind of the products are silos, but you have a double line of commands. If we go then at the opposite sides of the scheme of the open innovation, we have the constellations or networks. So more that it's kind of a distributed organization we can think of, where you have your core business and where you want to have partnership and connect with other and create constellations that help to deliver your product or service. These help you in terms of being more innovative, because it helps you to focus only on your core aspects, and also to find the most innovative people that do this and that. So, and having the help of others doing the job. So in that case, the idea is that, for example, if you think about technological and innovative companies, where you want to build something really new, where you really don't know. I mean, it's not, you really want to open a new market, or you have a breakthrough idea and you don't know if it will work or not. So you are really uncertain of what is the market or what is the environment around you. And you need to make sense of this environment. So this can help you to see what is the environment outside, what happened in other sectors, because these organizations are not related to the markets that you want that you operate within. So maybe there are some technical partners that help you with some technical aspect, but maybe there are legal firm that help you to have sense of all the legal problem that you can have with a new product. So you try to outsource all the other function, but in doing that way you don't have the control, because so you have the flexibility, but you don't have the control. Or I mean, you have the control, but in a different way than the first structure where you could control everything. And this, I mean, is driven by the open innovation paradigm, the idea of this structure. So, if you remember the funnel that we saw last week for the open innovation, where more actors came within the companies, even they are external. So it's not that the boundaries of the companies are strict, but they are open to other. Now, there is also another kind of company, which is the most funny one, which is the spaghetti organization. Huh?
Is it no organization?
There is no organization. Exactly. It's kind of a plate of spaghetti where you don't have an organization. Actually, they tried in a company from Denmark during the 80s to do that. The CEO of the company decided to create an organization where there is no hierarchy, there are no roles, no offices, there are nothing, there are no organization, there are no structure, there are just problems or things that you want to solve, and the employees of the company can go there to the board, see the problem or the project that they want to work on, take it and start working in it. Oticon is the name of the company that did it in the 80s.
Can we say that the maker spaces are spaghetti organizations?
That the
maker spaces.
Maker spaces. Not in that way, because normally when in the maker spaces you go there already because they have the services that you need to build something that you already have in mind for your organization, for your supposed organization. Because maybe you want to work on something but you don't have the laser cuts or you don't have the 3D printer, so you can go there and work there. So I don't think there is a spaghetti organization. Still, it's more. Then you can find there a more partnership, maybe with some other guys that work near you on some other project and start to collaborate and cooperate. This could happen, but still, there is not an organization. I mean, the Fab Lab or the Makerspace have a clear organization with manager, with people that run the printer or manage it, etc. In that case of the spaghetti, I mean, you have a knowledge-intensive company because all is based on the knowledge of the employees and the knowledge that they can create.
Can you provide an example for an organization is even partially spaghetti form?
At the end, this is the thing. That's, I mean, at the end, every organization is spaghetti. Because even if you have all the other structure, then the day-to-day work that you have to do, it forces you to act in a way that it's called not spaghetti. I mean, it's a theory of decision making that we will see in the next week is the garbage can. So it works like a garbage can. You just take it something from the inside and try to figure out what you need to do. So this is the idea. I mean, at the end,
it leads you to a base.
Yes, you have you have solution in search for problems, for example, often inside the organization, because you already have something that solves something, but you don't know how to use it. So you need to find a use for that resources, or you need to find how to use also people. So maybe you have...
Yeah, they are human resources.
So let's say that the ideal types of spaghetti organization, they tried it, results. Yeah. Still, they managed to work it, but this is the ideal types. Then all the organization, even if they have a clear structures, they work in completely different way. If you go there and if you look it.
One example of maybe lower hierarchy is the cooperative type of organization. So the cooperation. Yeah. In that case, the first point is some sort of more pronounced, despite even cooperatives as a form of structure. So.
Yeah. But in that case, I mean, it's really that you go to the office, you don't have a desk, you just sit wherever you want. After that, you choose your task of the day and you start working on some projects. Maybe you find other people that want to work on the same, so you form a team.
It's kind of making break by break.
Yes. Basically. But this is the extreme.
Yeah, there's.
But
You open a co-working space where the co-workers,
exactly,
the
that could
owners
be.
are the owners of the co-working, then you could have a spaghetti.
Yeah, if you think a co-working space, more than the
With you as the owner of the co-working, you who is a co-worker, that could be a spaghetti, an ideal spaghetti organization.
but still, you can try to define the structure of our organization. You need to structure your organization. Some basics, but still, I mean, at the end, it works differently as you design it in practice, because there are people in there working, so people act really in different way with different goals.
There cannot be any obligation.
Yeah.
Or,
So it's important to think about also in all the scheme that we saw, to think about, for example, how information flows through organization. Or is supposed to flow. Because, for example, it could happen in a structure like this, that the information should flow from the president and then go down, but maybe it could happen that there is something here that block it, that don't want to pass it, so maybe this part don't receive an information, while this part will receive a different kind of information. So you need to really look at it. And also when you arrive at the ground level of operation, it could happen that people, that's employees and that work there, can decide to work differently that you expect, or have different kind of practices of what you expected for. For example, if you think about programming, when I think that you all know different way of doing programming, peer programming, pair programming, agile, or there are different bunch of type of doing the same thing. But at the end, I think that more or less you will always do the same thing and doing the same stuff, even if you are required to do other kinds. You will do the simple thing, the thing that require you less less work.
Yeah, of course.
At the end, this is what drives people.
Amazing. So, what kind of organization company use in the real world?
Normally use a mix. Most of the, then there are another thing which are fashion, because this model were developed over time. So the first one, the pyramid one, started in the 20th century, in the beginning with Ford and all of the scientific organization of work, Taylor, etc. And then after that, there were the other ones. So they work also like a fashion. So there is a new model, and all the big companies want to have the same model as the other big companies have. And so they reorganize themselves according to the new model, which is now more fashion than the other one. And it's work like this also. So it's not that it's more functional for the organization, but sometimes it's also a matter of appearance, being perceived as in the forefront of the organization. Say, okay, we are the cool one because we are organized that way. We are the cool one because we have the same organization as Google, even if we do even if we are steel maker. maybe, I don't know. But this is the...
So the choice of the structure it depends on maybe friction of that period, but also on dimension.
Yeah, dimension is another...
Why do you think dimension is relevant?
Because we have much more people to manage.
Okay.
You have more...
So you start from where when you are a small company?
The kind of organization or
which type of structure usually a company starts with?
I think when you are 1 or 2, you start with spaghetti.
It could be, yes.
Could be.
Yes.
Could be.
We will see. If you want to be innovative, yes.
Let's say depends on what.
Then you have to move to an organized.
Then you have to go back to the first one, and we will see why.
Yes.
So, but in fact, let's say that if there is one shareholder, if you have like 5 co-founders, maybe you have the spaghetti.
Yes.
But if the founder is one, which one would you think you start with?
Of course, the prior one would want to be the boss, and therefore we should have the layers.
So usually with small companies and very small companies, the first one is the one which is used, but because you don't have the numbers to make anything different.
Then the bigger one have some kind of mix between the matrix and the networks, the constellations, because they outsource more and more stuff. So they try to focus more on the core of the company. So let's say that they want also to have partnership with other companies, and even the bigger one. I guess. But still, the matrix is the fancy one at the moment. I think not the technological one, but for the others one. And what do you think, for example, that the university works? How the university is structured? Because this is really, I want you to think about it also during the weeks and during the week, and we will think about next week. So when you work within the building, keep a look at the label outside of the office and try to understand how the university works. The previous one, the matrix. No, where is the matrix? This one? This one.
Not the matrix.
The matrix. The division, huh?
Yeah.
Where the products are the faculty, the departments. It could be a vision. I don't know. I mean, this is really a question. I don't have the answer because I didn't check if in the university office, in the university website, there is a scheme like that. I think yes, somewhere there should be a scheme. But you can try to make sense of the university and try to think about it also for next week when we will talk about environment, to understand how the university works. And maybe if you have some other experience in other university, not in Italy, if they are organized differently, for example, we will try to understand it. Then, what about innovation? So, an organization needs, you need an organization to make sense of the environment, and we will see, I've put it in bold because we will see what we mean with environment next week. And the organization, you need to adapt the organization to the features that you found, that you will find in your environment. Then, after that you studied the environment, you need to understand if these features are given they can be changed. How? And then the organization become the means to transform the environment and to shape according to the vision that you have. And this, we will see, it reflects the way we structure the organization. Because when you have a pyramid, a vertical organization, you have a clear vision of the world. You have a clear vision of what you want to do and how to do it. When you have a spaghetti organization, you have a totally different vision of the same world. You perceive it in a different way. Because you don't, for example, know how to do it, so you try to figure it out and make sense by having a less hierarchical organization and having a more messy thing where you can explore, where you can do stuff, where you can be innovative. At the opposite, in the vertical one, you are a clear structure, and maybe you are less innovative, but you do already a good product, and you deliver it in a real good way. But we will see next week. I think that's for today. We have finished. So tomorrow there will be the battle. Uber versus taxi, but we will see how it is shaped. And in that battle, it's also important to think about the organization that both Uber and taxi have today, for example. Thank you all.